Hello and welcome to the new ASL1A course. This is just going to be a quick video to show you some of the changes and setup of ASL1A. So some of the biggest changes, you'll notice here on the side that each unit is actually labeled with a title now. And there are only 5. There used to be 6. And that was because Unit 1 was all of the VoiceThread materials, getting familiar with VoiceThread in the course. That's all found in your student orientation now. So when you would click student orientation, you're going to see these 2 folders. The first one, student orientation. This talks about like the discussion boards, the student orientation, academic integrity quiz. This is some like MVU. Every MVU course has this kind of stuff. Sending a message to your instructor. And then when you get into our course specifics, here, like VoiceThread, it was the next folder. So there's just like a little link that says to the next, for this, it's to the Understanding Our Course folder. And then you're going to have the lesson actually here, the top link. So once you click it, it opens a new tab. And then here is all the information. So it's really nice that it's in its own place now. It's not hidden within like the 55 folders that we had before. So the students will start here, go through. They can navigate by clicking next page on these items, or over here on the side if they want a refresher, like how do I create a video comment? Here's a video. How do I connect my VoiceThread account? Here, they can click here. Or they go through. And once they're done, more help is the last one. It'll say previous page or return to top, which will take you back to the introduction. So once they've done that, they know that they're done. They can exit out of that. And then here's the assignments they have to complete for that lesson. So here's the VoiceThread quiz, sharing your VoiceThread, and test video commenting. So all of those assignments that we still had before, they are still adaptive release, so they have to get 100% on 0.7 sharing your VoiceThread and 0.8 test video commenting before they can move on with anything else in the course. So once they're done with that, there's a little thing down here, move on to Unit 1, or they can click on Unit 1 over to the left. And this is what like each introductory page will look like. There's kind of like a little synopsis about what they're going to learn in this unit, and then a breakdown of all the assignments that are unit specific. So you'll see that there's always a cultural discussion and there's always a reflective journal. And a lot of those cultural discussions are old discussion boards that were switched over to maybe be like a bigger cultural discussion piece. And the reflection journal is just a journal that the students will keep after each unit, so there'll be 5, where they have to address and talk about some things that they took away from the unit. So these should be totally individualized for each student. We shouldn't see the same things. So once they get in here, here's all of the lessons in each folder. So they just start with 1.1. Again, they would click on this top to launch the soft chalk lesson, and then you see like the only assignment for lesson 1 is this discussion on first impressions. So they would have the question here, click on it, and then answer the question. Then once they're done with that, move on to the next lesson. Once again, they click here to launch their the lesson. So this is looking through each of the lessons. And then once they finish that, there's 5 pages. So here's 3, 4, 5. That's the end. They can exit out of it and then complete these 2 assignments that go with this unit. The directions were a little more, we tried to make them a little more clarifying so that students understood step by step what they were doing, to hopefully minimizing the confusion there. This ASL Alphabets and Number project got moved here. It used to be in Unit 3, I believe. And we just thought this was a better fit for it because this is where they've learned how to fingerspell. This is where they've learned how to do their numbers. So why not have them, start working on this project and turn in here rather than once we teach them a bunch of different, other skills. So we thought that we should focus on this here. Then moving on to the next lesson. Here's another VoiceThread assignment. This is the practice sheets. Again, they've launched the lesson. Move to the next lesson. More VoiceThread assignments, and then move to the reflection. So the reflection, you're going to have the one cultural discussion piece and then one journal piece. And you'll see that they are worth 25 points each. I don't think there's really a whole lot more to say about these two pieces, except that, like I said, this will be maybe a discussion board that got moved to a cultural discussion, which is set up the same way as a discussion board. And then this is always the exact same, that, here are some journal prompts. What are two things you've learned? What is the most important thing you've learned? That kind of stuff. This is also a place that students can maybe ask clarifying questions, something that they want to go further on, or something that they're really curious about, and they can pose it to the teacher. Now, only the student and the instructor can see the journals. They're not shared with any peers. They're not, they're not writing to two of their peers. Whereas the cultural discussions, they still are doing that. Everyone can see it. They're responding to two of their peers, that kind of thing. Another change I want to address really quick. I'm just jumping to Unit 3 because I know it's got to be in here. Yes, will be translation practices. So before, these translation practices used to be discussion board items, and now they are just standalone assignments. After talking about it, we felt like a lot of students were just kind of copying and pasting, or were able to just look at what other students had done and kind of copy what they were doing. So I wanted to make it so that this was just an assignment to see that they were mastering the skill themselves. And so it's no longer a discussion board assignment where they have to comment on two other peers' posts. It's just an assignment that they turn in on their own. But the discussions, they might have changed just a little bit, or we might have asked, like a couple more questions for them. But for the most part, they've stayed the same. And all these assignments have stayed the same. Just like I said, clarify those directions. And I also said that they need ASL and English for all of these. So even these life print practices, they need to type the two phrases that they are assigning. I prefer to do this, and I've always made my students do this in my course. I just think it's easier to know what I'm looking for, and to know what mistakes have been made when I have the two phrases in my head, or like when I have a script that I'm like, okay, this is what they meant to go for here, but it wasn't quite there. I can give better feedback, I feel. So I just kind of threw that in there as like, it doesn't take them hardly any time to do that kind of thing. All right. I believe those are the biggest changes. Oh, one more big change for the midterm. There's a project now instead of an essay. So there used to be an essay that was pretty much a discussion board question, but it was basically one of the questions we were asking in the course already in one of the discussion boards, but we wanted them to write 2 to 3 pages on it. And I just felt like what students were turning in wasn't what we were really looking for, and it was really repetitive because it's a discussion board item later. So I thought maybe I would create something where the students are using what they've learned so far. So went back and looked at everything that we've learned so far from the beginning to the midterm, all the skills and the assignments they've had to do, and kind of made a scenario where they have to create a script and use the language. I liked being able to see the students use the language instead of writing an essay about something that they've already kind of answered earlier or later in the course. And then, so that's here now, worth 100 points. And then there's still the receptive exam where they are watching the video and translating what the signer is saying. But I talked about they need both ASL gloss and English, because some students were only giving like a broad instead of telling me exactly what they were saying, they were kind of just saying, oh, well, she's asking about blah, 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 which was correct, but not what we were really looking for. So just clarify those directions again. And then they can watch this video more than once now. That was a problem before, that they would only be allowed to watch the video once, and then they'd refresh the page and get locked out. So now they can watch this video more than once. They can toggle it back and they can pause it, okay?